You're listening to Crazy Shit in Real Estate. You'll be amazed at all these wild but true situations that others have found themselves in. Because on this show, you'll hear uncensored, unbelievable stories from the world of real estate. I'm Leigh Brown. Let's dive right in.
I'm Leigh Brown. This is Crazy Shit in Real Estate, and you're going to watch my head spin today. I apologize in advance. I just could hardly get my head around it because what Brett Henry brings to us today is so big and interesting that I had to pull him back and keep asking. So hopefully y'all will enjoy this conversation. Come along for the ride, and I'll see you on the other side. I can hear you. Talk for just a second. Tell me your first grade teacher's name.
My first grade teacher's name was Mrs. Grassick, and she was a beautiful person. And the only thing that upset me about her is that she made soup for everyone in the class one day and gave me shit and put me in the hallway, and I wasn't allowed to have the soup. Other than that, she was a great human.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Saskatchewan, Canada.
Oh, and she made soup for her classroom? I love her.
She so did, except, don't love her. She didn't give me any.
I mean, I love her for having some principles. What were you doing that day? Talking too much?
I was just being me. Yeah, probably.
Yeah, we sound fine now, so that worked out good. And look, you got to have a happy memory there out of nowhere.
Yeah, perhaps. I got headphones if you need me to be, but I think we're probably
we're good now. So thank you to the invisible hand that came in and fixed it.
Oh, the invisible hand's leaving. He's right there.
There he is. I mean, it was kind of Muppet Show looking where the hand came in. Very good.
Yeah. No, we got it. He's actually still controlling me, and we're not going to talk about that because gets sexual and stuff.
I mean, it sounds a little creepy, but it's Friday, so you can say anything you want.
It's Friday. I had my double espresso cappuccino at the gas station, so it's all good to go.
Gas station cappuccino. That is high rolling right there.
I'm going to tell you something. Okay. So down here, one of the fanciest to get like the fanciest foods and stuff, you go to the gas station. Okay. No, I'm telling you, they sell caviar, Iberico ham, high-end coffees.
What kind of gas station is this?
It's called Caminos. And they, and I question the guy who has it. So like the gas station and the actual like service part of the gas station are separate. Like the gas attendants sell gas, whatever, but the stores ran separately. Kind of like a Circle K and a Shell or something. You know what I mean? So
you said gas attendants. Do you still have gas attendants in Saskatchewan?
Oh no, I'm talking about the Dominican. I'm in the Dominican Republic, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, your first grade was in Saskatchewan. You threw me way off there.
Oh, well, that's why I was born and raised. Is in Saskatchewan.
You changed climates and country, and
I did 190 degree Celsius change. You know what I mean?
That is actually true. You don't get to say that often, but now it explains why it's Caminos, because that's road in Spanish. All right.
That's right. So we have, so anyway, at the gas station, we do have gas attendants and people that clean your windshields. And when you go to the grocery store, they pack your bags and then bring it to your car. And
like spoiled.
Everyone has maids, gardeners, pool people. Yeah. If you don't want to chop your vegetables, but you still want to make supper, you just tell them and you just go home and throw it into the bowl.
Yeah, that sounds really tempting right now, considering that I don't know what I'm making for supper tonight, and it's all going to land on me. So I'm really thinking the Dominican sounds awesome.
I have a chef who he's 2,000 pesos a day, which is the equivalent of, what would that be? Like $18 American. He cooks breakfast, dinner, and supper. He goes and gets the groceries, and he's from Venezuela, and he owned his own restaurant in Venezuela. He's a full chef.
Wow.
So I can call him and say, look, I want this kind of steak, and I want peppercorn sauce, and I want blah, blah, blah. And no problem, sir.
And that's a living wage there, so he can live on that?
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool. All right, so I guess you're going to have to tell my audience a little bit more about Brett. Tell them who you are. Now they know you're in the Dominican. We gave that away, and that you grew up in Canada. So how did you land in and around real estate? What do you do in and around real estate? Give them a little thumbnail sketch before we start chatting.
Sure. So the thumbnail sketch is, I was born and raised in Canada, in Saskatchewan. I was a police officer for 20 years. I retired from policing. But while I was policing, I had a construction company. We did residential and we did commercial. So we built for Yum Brand up there. I built about 65 homes. My first house that I ever bought was a rental property. So I bought it and had a basement suite. I moved into other rental properties. And then I ended up buying a bar and a hotel in Canada. And then I ended up buying a coffee shop. And then I bought a marketing business where we did all kind of print, like we did t-shirts and things like that. I bought the licensing rights for Hypercolor at one point. It was called Global Technicolor at that point. Do you remember the clothing that you could touch and it would change color?
That was hot in like 88, 89.
I was going to bring it back. And I'll tell you why. You can control the temperature in which it changes. So I was going to make baby clothes out of it. So if like you would put a beanie on a baby's head, and if they were overheated, it would change color, right? And so then you'd know your baby was too hot, or if it was, changed a different color, you'd know that the baby was too cold and you needed to warm the baby up. And then I was going to make towels, so because it was just kind of cool, and then clothing for working out. Like you could put on, like, say, whatever you were going to work out that day, you would have a different type of clothing. So like maybe it was like shorts or pants that would be like maybe knee high. So if you really wanted to focus on your quads, you would set it so that you wore those pants, and as soon as you got to the to a good workout ability, they would change color, so you'd know you were in the zone. And if it cooled down too much, you weren't working out hard enough. And you could do that for all your clothing. Like there was a whole bunch of things we were going to do with that.
So
Anyway,
what happened to those ideas? Because I'm just sitting here thinking, most of my kids are out of the house now, but my babies would get so hot when they were sleepy, so I knew it was time to lay them down because they just went on fire when they were sleepy.
oh, you
What
know
about
what?
that stuff?
I have a book about this thick of my ideas. Okay, so everyone has an idea, right? Execution is the key.
It's
You
true.
get halfway. Most people get halfway there and they can't get it because it's the marketing that you need to do. So you'll put $1 million into an idea, but you should have $5 million to market it, right? Like any idea can work. Like the pet rock. The pet rock made $6 million. It was a rock in a box, but it was marketed unbelievably.
Right.
So I had produced right now I'm in the middle of making a global MLS system that uses affiliate marketing to like basically drop ship houses all over the world. So people can buy and sell properties anywhere because the person who actually completes the deal is an agent in the area of where the property is. But where do people come from, right? Like if someone's buying in the Dominican Republic from the United States, who better to sell them a house than someone from the United States, right? Or if you're going to buy in Spain, so say you wanted to sell a home in America, in Spain. Well, if a Spanish person has moved to, let's say, North Carolina, he knows what Spanish people want in North Carolina. So what my system does is it allows him to go onto the, and doesn't have to be a real estate agent. He can go onto the system, select 20 properties, and then post them back in Spain, and then entice his friends to come. Humans are colonizers by nature, right? Whenever we go someplace, wherever we put root, what do? We expand out. We try and get our friends and family to come there, to bring our community together. So that's what this does. And without having a network like that, you can never reach out. Like I can go and I can market on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all this other stuff out there, but I'm never going to target market people. I'm never going to get to a hot market. I'm never going to get that hot lead because it's just, you're throwing shit at the wall and hoping it sticks, right? But when you actually have someone from a specific area going out and specifically going after people buy in different ways. So we've researched that. We've researched colonization. My brother's a university professor, and that's what he specializes in colonization. But like yourself, or like me, okay, being a Canadian living in the Dominican Republic, I know exactly what Canadians are looking for in the Dominican Republic. Why? Because I came here for those reasons. So I personally can market better to them. But if I'm not a real estate agent, I'm not going to make any money. Down here, we make 8 to 10% commission. Okay. So if I go out and I say I wasn't a real estate agent and I'm pushing out product out into Canada and the United States to people that I think would actually want to buy down here, then what I do is I just set them up. I become a referrer to the real estate agents, and then the real estate agents finish the deal. I get my commission and life goes on. We don't have the rules and regulations like the US where, I get a Starbucks gift card because you're not allowed to market that way, which is stupid.
So are there real estate licenses in the Dominican? Is it a licensure country?
So there's 100. So the way life works in most countries, so we're fed a bunch of garbage up in Canada and the US. Okay, like you got to have the the National Real Estate Association and MLS and Realtor. Yeah, of course, it's all
money.
Yeah, but it's all money, but we're so foolish that we fall into that trap, right? So it doesn't make any sense. And 180 countries around the world, it works differently. Okay, the licensing works differently. Down here, there really isn't licensing. Out of my office, we train people. We use, like, I don't know if you know Matt Easton and Brian Eisenhower and guys like that. No, they're big real estate trainers up in the States. We use those techniques. We use a lot of the rules, but we don't have to, right? That's why my business does quite well down here. But 180 countries around the world have non-exclusivity on properties. So you could have one property and you could have 5 agents looking at it, or
Right.
5 agents representing it, right? So it makes it really confusing. So I created an MLS system down here and a global MLS. What we did is we aggregated all the properties in the Caribbean. So what we did is we aggregated the properties down here, and then we qualified that data using another program. So looking at like geolocation and photos and NLP to qualify it. And then we created one single listing for that property. In doing that process, we found that there was like a 70% duplication failure rate. Either the listing was old, it wasn't good, or it was a duplication. So we would take, like, say, the Dominican Republic, and we would download maybe like 400,000 listings. And at the end of the day, there was probably 70,000 that were actually, legitimate, good listings.
All right, so
And then,
pause there for 1 second, because I can hear my comments are going to be coming in with slow me down, because what you're talking about is so radically different than what we have in the US. So when you're talking about aggregating the data, if you don't have an MLS system, a multiple listing service, which here in the US is everybody uses the same system to have one source of data, so you don't have that. So where do you gather all your data? And if I were selling a house in the Dominican, where am I putting it that you're finding it? Is this just private websites? Are these spiders and AI you've built?
it's all surface facing information, right? So we take the surface facing information, and then we accumulate it all, and then we qualify the data, right? So if you have like one property, it identifies that property, and then it qualifies it against all the other properties that it would be the same. Like if Century 21, Remax, Coldwell Banker, Joe Blow, and Jack Smith all have the same property, it takes all that data and then creates the listing. Within the listing, it identifies all the agents that are associated to that property. So it markets it for free. It's basically free marketing for them, right?
So,
What happens?
So your system is right. So your technology finds everything, dedupes it, and then puts it all together. So it's one resource.
Yeah.
So you're creating what we have here, but because you don't have it here, you're having to go everywhere else to find it. So it's backwards what we have here. Because ours, we start with the data, then we syndicate out. So you're taking all the syndications and bringing them back in.
Exactly.
That's
Yeah.
very, very smart. So, all right. So let me just think my way through this. So if I'm in North Carolina and my mission trip just came back from Nicaragua from my church, and there's a couple people in that group that are freaking in love with Nicaragua now.
Mhm.
So they would go to the global system that you've built to find Nicaraguan professional people who can walk them through the Nicaraguan process, or how does it work from there?
Yeah, so that's what it would be like, right? So, like, let's take Nicaragua for instance. Like, we're starting here in the Dominican Republic. We're going to be launching very soon with this, right? But you would have all the properties aggregated, okay? And say you're just coming onto the system to find something. Sure, you go onto the system. It's going to show you the agents in the back end. You can pick one, call them, talk to them. But the big concept breaker on this is like this. When we first designed the system and we said, what are we going to do? How are we going to make it? And why are we making this thing? The first thought was, the reason I did it is because it was such chaos down here with trying to find properties and trying to organize stuff. You're going on everyone's website, you're looking at everything. And I said, there's got to be a better way. So we aggregated all this information. We got down to like 70,000 listings. Then we actually did the rest of the Caribbean. We actually had 13 million properties at one point. We went into Europe. Yeah.
13 million?
Yeah.
Holy smokes, that is huge.
Yeah, because we did first we did the Dominican, right? And then we're like, okay, we knew what the failure rate, the duplication rate is, like I said. Then we went to Jamaica and we found out it was the same. Then we said, okay, well, let's maybe do like Aruba, it was the same. Then we did the rest of the Caribbean. Then we went into Mexico, Central America, and then we started to go into Europe because Europe is the same as us, 180 countries. And we're like, holy man, we have 13 million properties on this database. So we were a very, very large database of information. But from that, we said, well, how do we monetize this? So we said, well, why don't we just build something for real estate agents in the beginning? We said, so, and this is a while ago. We're talking like 4 years ago. Okay. We've been working on this for quite a while.
Forever.
And yeah, it's like anything, execution, right? So we looked at it and we said, okay, we have all this data, we have all this information. What would real estate agents want in these specific areas? Not so much for the American and Canadian market, because we already have MLS, we have Matrix, we have a lot of data. So we said, well, for $100, let's build a little bit of exclusivity. So if you become a member, you're on the system and you'll be ahead of the other people. The other people are going to get accredited because the accreditation needs to go to everybody, right? If the data comes out. So the accreditation is always there. But if you buy a membership, it's like buying a sponsorship on Google. Okay. Think of our system like Google. Google just gathers all the information, kind of puts it in a readable manner, right? So we did that. Second thing is we created a semi-automatic social networking posting system. Lots of words, doesn't mean a lot. Wasn't really around when we first created it. But what it means is that if I was on the system as a realtor, I don't need to type in my new listing and put it on to the new website. So, in the States, you have to upload everything to your MLSs. Mine automatically gets it. So if you do something on your local system, it automatically goes onto the MLS.
If I'm a member.
If you're a member. Well, no.
But if I'm not a member?
It's going to go on there anyway, right? If you're a member, it's automatically going up there because we want all the data so that we can qualify the data. So the more data, the better, right? The better for the listing, the better for everyone. So now that it's on the system, if you go on it and you look up your listing and you say, well, I want it on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, Pinterest, wherever an email sent out, it'll automatically do that for you. So you just you're just like, I want it here, 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 here. And it'll automatically post it. Once it's posted, it's out into your sphere of influence, right? So now it's out in the world. So how do you control, what's happening? So if someone clicks on it on the outs, like when it's in your sphere, one of your friends in Facebook looks at your listing, they come in. What it does is it drives them into the every listing platform, into the global MLS system. And now everything in the global MLS system comes to you because we drop a cookie on them, right? So you now become the link pin. So if your friend in Nicaragua is looking at a Nicaraguan property because you listed that Nicaraguan property or whatever, the only person that they can get in contact is with you. So if they're like, oh, well, I actually like the Dominican Republic. So they're looking at the Dominican. The only contact number is you. So now they call you and they say, hey, I really like this place in Cabarete, Dominican Republic. You say, great. And in the back of your head, you're like, I don't know nothing about this property. I don't know anything. In the back end of your system, because you're a partner with us or you bought a membership, you can see all the agents that have listed that property. At that point in time, as an agent, you contact me or the other agents. You say, hey, Brett, I have a client who's interested in your property. Would you like to co-broke with me? And what are the percentages of co-broke? And I say, well, it's 50%, and this is all about the property and stuff like that. So you say, maybe you're happy with me, maybe you call someone else and make a different deal, but whatever. You make a deal with one of the agents between you and them, kind of like Craigslist or whatever, or like, you make the conversation. When that happens, now that person isn't associated just to that property, they're associated to you. The client is the co-broke, not the property that you're actually,
Oh, okay.
So now if I sell them a house here in the Dominican, it might not be the one that they were looking at. It might be, because we could show 5 or 6 different ones. But when I make that deal, you get your cut. Because what do I want as an agent in the Dominican? I want to sell a house and I want to make that deal. I wanted the referral. You gave me the referral. So now I'm giving you the referral back. And so now you're being able to do referrals all over the world. And all you need to do is use your sphere of influence to come in. So when we did that, we're like, holy man, we've created a not just a global MLS, but a global real estate trading platform. But then we thought to ourselves, well, what else did we create? And it's like, well, we kind of created Uber for real estate. Because at that point, we took a look at it and we said, well, if it's not the agent if it's not the original agent who's selling the home, it's the agent wherever it is, anyone could do this. So what we did is we created an affiliate program. So a person can come onto the system, select any properties anywhere in the world that they think their sphere of influence would be interested in looking at and clicking on. And so you'd select your 20 properties. say your friend came onto the system and they started looking. Now all you really are is the middleman drop shipping properties and then creating co-broking opportunities between yourself, your client, and the agent involved. So you could sell properties anywhere in the world if you're any kind of influencer. So you would just take a property, say you're in the properties, you're $300,000 in the Dominican. So you have 20 properties in the Dominican, you put them out there, you post them on your system. People are like, what are you doing? You're not a real estate agent, and you're like, well, no, I'm really interested in it. And I'm part of this, I'm marketing these properties. So now I, as the real estate agent, get a message from you saying, hey, I have a client, just like you would with a real estate agent, and you create a co-broking opportunity. So anyone can do it. So what does that allow us to do? It allows us to market anywhere in the world, any property in the world, direct marketing to these people. So the real estate agents, because everyone's like, well, that's my listing. I don't want to post it somewhere else. And I don't want this and that. Really? Do you want the lead? What do you really want? At the end of the day, what do you really want? You want the lead. You want to be able to sell that property. So now when you're living in, whereabouts are you right now? Sorry.
North Carolina.
Okay, you're in North Carolina. Okay, so you're in Charlotte or wherever. But I mean, so selling houses to someone from the Dominican Republic in Charlotte, how hard is that?
Impossible, because I don't know that market. I don't know it at all. I've never been there.
But you know what? I have really good friends that live in Blowing Rock who also live down here who know what the market in Blowing Rock is. And they definitely know the people that can afford stuff in Blowing Rock, right? So now we have these connections, but now we have these connections all over the world in real estate. Like one of the comments or one of the things that we said when we built this, it's like, not our mission statement, what would it be? Just like a motto or whatever, a slogan. It was like, think outside your block, the world is round.
Cute.
Yeah. But it's realistic. Like as we globalize and we start looking at the whole globe as a marketplace instead of like the block around you, not everyone is impressed with, buying in your neighborhood. Like that's not, you're going to sell homes and naturally you're going to sell homes. But when COVID hit, we seen the movement of people, right? People weren't working at home anymore. They were realizing like, I don't want to live in Northern Canada and work at a tech firm and have to sit in my house in the middle of winter when I could be on the beach doing the exact same job, working wherever I want. And so that's what we created. We created a ability to actually get global properties out there.
So if you're in real estate and you're listening to this podcast or watching it and thinking, man, I need some more Leigh Brown answers in my life. Well, guess what, friends? I have a new program that is launching right now called Answers.Real Estate, where I will give you every bit of insight I have to help you grow your real estate business, help you better respond to consumers, to provide a more excellent real estate experience so that the next time you land on crazy shit in real estate, you'll have a better solution to whatever you ran into. Answers.Real Estate. There are monthly plans available. You will love it. Get your coaching. Sign up with me today.
Interesting, because we have the designation in the Real Estate Trade Association, the Certified International Property Specialist, and people take the class and then they learn more about international real estate, but then they get an outreach from somebody that says they want to buy somewhere. And that's where the system fails, because there is no marketplace of agents or properties. So there's definitely a disconnect. And I do have clients that ask me about buying out a country, but unless it's Spain, where I have a wonderful network, or, well, I have networks in Thailand and Vietnam, but you can't own property in Vietnam and you can't buy in Thailand. And so you have all these different international sets of rules that I'm not going to know. So what you're saying is you take the market and then create the influencers to connect to the agents in these marketplaces. What's your fail-safe on international law when it comes to real estate and licensure and how the fees work? What protects people in that front?
Well, I mean, the deal is getting done by an agent, like realistically by an agent in the area where the deal needs to be complete. So the laws and the rules and stuff are going to be adhered to in the country that the purchasing happens. As for the influence,
so the boots on the ground is ultimately responsible. And so I'm still just trying to process it because it's so big.
Yeah.
And I'm a 25-year agent in the old system, so I'm sorry if I feel slow. But if I'm reaching out about a property that I fell in love with in another country because I saw it online in your marketplace. And then I shared it on my social networks and one of my people saw it.
Yeah.
I'm literally just the influencer who made the connection to the pro in the other country who can say yes, no, maybe so. Here's how it works here.
So the contract, what happens is the contract gets done through our company. Okay. So now you're not dealing with you. Like when the agent works is like when we send the lead to say the Dominican Republic, okay, to an agent down in the Dominican Republic, you're an associated member of the system, right? Of my system. And that all the contracts and stuff are done through the system. So the system reaches out, says, hey, we have this client. This is the agent. We're going to connect you. Here's the contract. They sign the contract. The contract gets locked into our system, right? So we know what's going on. We have a tracking mechanism that tracks the deal as it goes through. Now, can someone screw the deal over and be like, yeah, I'm not paying my commissions and stuff? Yeah. Our real recourse on that is one, we'll pay out the agent regardless, like the company will, their commissions, and then we'll go after the agent, that didn't do his thing. And it's as easy as like, guess what? You're done. You're not getting any more leads. We're not going to take you to court. We're not going to make some big rigmarole for you, but you're just not going to get any more leads off the system. So if you're so narrow-sighted to see that we're reaching out to a global prospectus for you of people that actually want to sell your properties and you don't want to, be part of that, that's fine. We don't need you to be part of that because guess what? The guy next door, he'll do it. And the guy next door to you, he'll do it. So that's our recourse for that. And you know what? Is it kind of like archaic in a way to do that? Yeah, sure it is. But when you're dealing with 180 countries and the rules are different everywhere and the laws are different everywhere, it's kind of the only fail-safe. But anyone who has a good head on their shoulders is going to realize, wow, I got a lead for nothing. I was able to create a deal for nothing and then go for it. With our affiliate agents, like who aren't real estate agents, okay? So you got to remember, these are not real estate agents, the ones that are actually making, like you're different, like as a real estate agent, there's a different process. But for the affiliates, it's just a guaranteed mandatory 25% of the deal. They're not going to get any more. They're not going to get any less. This is 25%. So agents are happy with that because they're not paying 50%. We're used to paying 50% for leads, right? Like when we do co-brokes and stuff. But this isn't a co-broke. This is a lead generation. So they get 25%.
Influencers. And so influencers get paid to drive traffic to the agents who then conduct the professional real estate transaction.
Correct.
Okay.
And the way that we're pushing that end of our business is that we are setting it up as an affiliate program. So you can either work by yourself and be your own thing, or you can build a virtual team too. So if you have yourself, like I hate using the word MLM because when you build a team,
it was the episode of The Office where Jim drew what Michael was talking about and then made his little pyramid because it was hilarious. But it is how they work, and they're not disreputable. It's a business model that works. And Mary Kay built more independently wealthy women than any other company on the planet by selling good quality cosmetics in a system of marketing. So that's kind
of the way we look at it. So if someone starts the systems, you could be a realtor and be an affiliate too, or set up an affiliate network, right? So you have yourself, and then say you get 10 people underneath you who sign up, right? You get $10 a month off of their membership fee. Who cares, right? But if they sell a property, you get 10% of the commission of their commission. So if there's a $10,000 commission, you get $1,000 from your team. So it gets kicked up. And it only goes like 2 levels. So if you have you and your team, and then your team decides, like someone on your team decides to make a team, right? Then you get a 10% kick up that way.
Right. So let's get off of that piece and go back to why you built this. Did you build this to flatten the global real estate market so that it would be easier to find properties? Like what made you want to do this? Was it in your process of coming from Canada to the Dominican and the friction in that process?
That's exactly why I did it. I did it because there was a need in my own company to know where the properties were. Because when you come into these other countries, there's no MLS, means that there's no comp system, and then you have lazy real estate agents. You have people that have properties that are on the system that they post that could have been sold weeks ago because there's no communication. I don't know if Remax sells a house down here, or like say a big company sells a house down here. if they don't and I have it listed too as a non-exclusive out of my company, I don't know if Remax sold that property. I mean, my company myself, I have 3 people hired just to contact all our clients all the time and say, hey, how's it going? How are things? What's going on? Oh, we sold our house. Oh, cool. How much did you sell it for? Blah, 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 blah. And then we take it off of our website. A lot of the smaller agencies don't have that, nor do they have the time to do that. So they list the property. It's on there for 6 years. Joe Blow comes down from Canada to buy a place, or the States to buy a place. They look on the website and they see on my website, it doesn't have it. And they question me. They're like, well, there's a house for sale for $150,000. I'm like, where? And I look at it and I'm like, well, that's a 5-year-old listing. And they just didn't take it off their website. And that's what became frustrating for me, because then my clients are thinking, well, why are you hiding this from me? Is this? Yeah. So I said, that's what made me set out to do this, to get the comps and to kind of organize this stuff a little bit.
Okay, so if you're one of 5 non-exclusive listing agents, so one house, and they let 5 different people market the property, when one of them gets it sold, they don't notify the other 4?
They're not.
That's crazy.
I know. Trust me. So yeah, I have a bigger agency, so I'm able to go out there and actually do that. Like I have my people do that. I set that up, but there's no rule to that. There's no association that says you need to do this, you need to do that.
I mean, as much as I think the rules of the National Association of Realtors and of the Canadian Real Estate Association can be onerous, I think our members fail to understand how smooth it's made real estate, because there are so many rules and regs until you look at a country that has very little in that way. And it's Katie bar the door trying to figure out what's going on until you figure out that middle ground of we need a good marketplace with the ability to figure things out without being onerous in our rules and regs.
100%. There's no panacea, right? There's no like, this is great, that's great. Like there's a lot of pros to how we operate down here. And 180 countries do it compared to what happens in the US and Canada with the MLS system. But there's also a lot of great things that come from the MLS system. It's just when we get into, I always say this, I'm like, when I go back to Canada or I go to the US, I feel like I'm being thrown back into the matrix, right? Because there's just too many rules. It's gotten a little swayed a little too much. So
a lot.
Yeah.
Well, the trade organizations should not be trying to babysit the MLS. They should support the system in a way that says this is a good marketplace, but they should not be in the policing of that marketplace. And I think that's why we have trouble right now is over-regulation, over-policing of the data sets.
The best way to look at it is to go back to the basics. Why was it created? What is the purpose of having these rules? Like, why the original rules are probably the best rules. Like I said before, I was a police officer at one point in my life, and I always say, like, policing is over police. We're over police. The thing that creates more crime, it's more laws, right? More laws create more criminals. It's funny, but it's true. But when you take a look at the basics of policing, it was Peel's principles, right? The punishment must fit the crime. And then the administration of justice must be quick and swift so that the people realize it. Well, now we'll look at it, right? But that transcends, those rules transcend over all aspects of business. And so now with the MLS system, we're over police in the US and Canada. It's just a little over policed and overdone. Down here, I always tell people, I'm like, the Dominican Republic is like 1972. Remember the good old days? We're still living the good old days. They do things a little bit more relaxed, like we used to have it, and it's just that's kind of
it's the one-page contract and the handshake and the MLS book, which I came into real estate at the end of the book when we were going to green screen, and I liked the book. I would like to go back to the book because it was a consolidated source of information, but it didn't have syndication, so it was hard to find the information. And so there's always pros and cons, and this is going to take me a minute to process what you're doing here because it's so necessary. And I've taught on 5 continents, and every time I go to another country, they are jealous of our MLS, not because of the rules and regs, but because it has a source of comp data, as you mentioned. In other countries, it's so hard to do an accurate evaluation of price unless you know everybody in the neighborhood or you know everybody in the building so you can gather some accurate data. But then you're then you're trusting people because they have different government regulations too. So it's a complex topic, but I'm really grateful that you're figuring out a way to create something that will allow people to buy their dream home, buy that resort, or start a mission compound in another country, whatever their dream is, but to go do different things.
Mhm.
Maybe not
It's
as
just
many different things as you've done, but they can go do something.
no, but they can. There's just so many opportunities everywhere else. Everyone, I did a bit of a talk up in Florida one time. There was about 300 agents there, and I spoke to people because when we're in countries like Canada and the US and stuff, sometimes we get a little bit of tunnel vision from the
Lots
growth
of
out there.
person. Yeah.
Right. But I spoke, and the whole topic of that discussion was if you live in a major center in Canada or the US and you bought your home between the ages of 20 and 40, and now you're somewhere between 40 and 75 or whatever, your home has gone up exponentially in value. And you may be a blue collar worker, because that's where I come from. I'm a blue collar worker, right? At heart. Like if you're a construction worker, a teacher, a cop, a firefighter, a nurse, you did normal work. You're living in $1 million home or even a multi-million-dollar home. Like you took at brownstones in New York that went from 300,000 and now they're worth 3 million. You're not a millionaire. Okay. You're definitely not a millionaire. You're sitting on $1 million property, but if you go buy the house next door, you're going to spend two,
All of
three
it.
hundred. Yeah, you're going to spend $200,000 or $300,000 more just to get into that. You can't afford that mortgage. But why are you doing that? So what I told people, or what my thing was why not sell that brownstone or sell that thing? Put your million, 2 million, 3 million in your pocket. Come down to a place like the Dominican Republic. Buy a house on the beach for $500,000. Buy yourself a car with cash. Our banking system is amazing down here. I know people are like, oh my God, it must be scary to do stuff down there. And I'll talk about that in a second, but our banking system is great. But you can get 10%, no problem with your bonds, and you can get up to 13 to 14% when you invest in like CDs and stuff down here. That can be paid monthly. That's after taxes. So you take your $1 million and put it in the bank. Now you're making $10,000 a month on top of your pension. You own everything that you have. Now, instead of like, Airbnb down here, Airbnb back home in New York and Charlotte and these things in the summertime or whenever you want to be there, travel around the world. Now you're a millionaire. Now you're making, $15,000, $16,000 a month in your pocket. You have extra cash flow. You're living for about 2/3 the cost because we have everything down here. We have beautiful places. We have big mountains. We don't get hurricanes where we are. They do other places on the island, but we don't get them. And now you can go home and be wealthy because you've never, if you're a teacher of cop or whatever, you haven't made that kind of money in your life. So double up your pension and enjoy it. And people are like, oh, and the reason I told them that is because if you're a realtor in Canada and the US, you list, you last. Okay, that's the rule. You list, you last, right? The buying agents are kind of like whatever. They're kind of gone. But why is someone listing a property with you? No one's going to list a property with you unless you have a dream or you have something that they're going to get into, right? They have to have a plan. So what's the plan? Well, here's a plan. Okay, so now the feedback I got was, well, if I sell the house here and they buy in the Dominican, well, I lost my client. No, because down here where our commissions are higher and you sell them a house down here, you're going to get your commission. You're going to double end it. You're going to sell their house and then you're going to sell them a house down here. So you've double ended your commissions anyway. And now your clients are really happy with you because you've got.
Well, what we can say is that what you're offering is a different lifestyle, but it provides options for people who might be open to that and would be interested in doing something different.
Exactly. It's not for everyone. Obviously, it's not for everyone.
Right.
But I mean, for the people that do discover it and that do enjoy it, I haven't ran into too many people that have come down here and were like, oh man, I just can't stand it. I just can't wait to get home. Most people come down here. It's a happier way of life. It's a slower pace of life. Things become cheaper. I mean, my golf membership is $500 a year at a PGA rated golf course. Like it's really nice. So, I mean, $500 a year. What's a golf membership in North Carolina?
I don't know because I don't own a golf membership. But see, I would never be drawn to that because it doesn't fit what I'm looking for. But the good news is there are options out there. So, of course, we're at the end of our recording time. And I'd love to know if there's any last piece of something that you feel like the audience must know before they reach out to you to ask more questions.
You know what? If you're interested at all in global real estate and how that works and what we're doing and how we're going about it, give me a call. I'm more than open to that. Can I give my email address and phone numbers on here?
Of course. And we're going to put it in the show notes for the episode as well. So if you're taking notes right now, tell them where to come. For the rest of y'all, it's in the show notes.
Sure. You can email me at Brett, BRETT, at realtordr.com, or you can contact me at +1 849 353 4899. WhatsApp is the best way to do that because that's what we use down here. And yeah, thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate the
opportunity. But you might have to poke at you. Is it Realtor DR or is it Realtor? Because, Realtor only has 2 syllables.
We're Realtor. REALTOR as in DeltaRomeo.com.
There you go. Now my audience is totally going to crack up because they know that's one of my things. But, hey, I'll let you get away with it till we get to your domain. We can't let you get away with it there. All right, friends. So if you learned something here, or if your head is running in 1,000 directions like mine, say something to Brett in the comments. Most importantly, go to the show notes to follow up on what's happening there so you can get educated on the creation of something that is flattening the markets, which is something a lot of people will be interested in. And when our focus is real estate, we always got to think about what somebody else wants. So, Brett, thank you for bringing us a new way to look at global real estate and some new opportunities for our listeners.
No, thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, guys, make sure you subscribe for more. Hit some of the past episodes, and most importantly, come back next time.
By the way, friends, don't miss my brand new coaching program at answers.realestate, where you can have access to Leigh Brown, submit your questions, have them answered, meet like-minded professionals, have an entire library to help you build your business no matter what happens in the market. Get signed up today. I promise you'll be glad you did. As always, I'm so super thrilled that you joined in for more crazy shit. And if you're a realtor, investor, inspector, lender, or just a regular human being who happens to have an unbelievable story that you need to tell the world about, or frankly, you just need to one-up the story you just heard, then make sure to DM me on Instagram at Leigh Thomas Brown, or tweet me at Leigh Brown, or frankly, any social network where you hang out. I'm there. And if you had some fun, then you totally want to subscribe so you don't miss out on any future episodes.